As a child, I have fond memories of reading the Guinness Book of World Records Gamers Edition, specifically the 2008 edition, as that was where I got introduced to much older game consoles, including hardware outside of Nintendo, which I was already used to. I was already familiar with the Xbox 360, thanks to reading some of the catalogues that used to come free at PC World shops. Not Grace PC World, just PC World. Yeah, there's an old relic for you. I may have been familiar with the 360, but the 2008 Games Edition introduced me to the Xbox for the first time, the OG black box. It was a hulking beast which I thought as a child was the coolest thing ever, especially the old logo and case design for the games. Around the age of 10 or 11, I would start growing a taste for the consoles of yesteryear and would begin searching for any content I could find on YouTube regarding the OG Xbox. Reviews, mechanical faults, and of course, commercials that were released to promote the system. It was a journey down this rabbit hole that would lead me to the discovery of one of the coolest racing games of all time.
I am now loading Acclaim's Revolt. I will soon experience complete oneness with an interconnected global community of game warriors. I can feel the energy flowing through the high-speed Ethernet cables.
Dude, who are you talking to? Are we gonna play or what?
Patience, Grasshopper. One must learn before one can dominate.
Forget that, let's play!
In 2002, Microsoft launched Xbox Live, a new service for the Xbox which allowed players to compete against each other in multiplayer games over the internet. They would release quite a few promotional videos to showcase the features of Xbox Live.
I was just being friendly. I mean, I'm not one of those game guys that gets like totally absorbed, you know?
Taste it! Yeah! You're going down!
That's gotta hurt.
You want some more? Oh, you like that, do you?
Watch me go. Oh yeah, everybody goes down.
Yeah!
Shot, edited and acted in all of its lovely early noughties Cathedral City cheesiness, we follow the Dark Master as he takes on the world playing different games. One of the titles he played was Revolt, a game which had an exclusive build bay to demonstrate Xbox Live's features. As a huge fan of kart racing games at the time, like Mario Kart and Sonic and Sega All-Stars Racing, Revolt drew me in with its blend of weapon-based gameplay and theming around remote-controlled cars in a realistic setting. But did Revolt succeed to this concept in its heyday? And how come I'd only heard of this game via an old advert for an online service I never used? It's time to dive deeper into Acclaim's Revolt.
Woo! Losers! I win!
Alright, that's a wrap. Nice take. That looked good.
Check this out. #1 national leaderboard, baby, yeah! Woo! Hey, whoa, guys, where you going? Come on, you saw that, right? #1, baby, yeah! #1!
Revolt is an arcade-style racing game released in 1999 and was developed by Acclaim Studios London, also known as Probe Entertainment. The game was developed for Windows, but also had conversions released for the Sega Dreamcast, Nintendo 64 and Sony PlayStation. You are one of many selectable RC cars in Revolt, and your objective is to race other cars across a variety of locations, most of which are grounded in reality. As well as your driving skills, you also have a variety of different items to use against opponents, much like in Mario Kart. What makes this game stand out for Mario Kart, however, is the one-to-one simulation of remote-controlled car physics and its dedication to recreating the chaotic feel you get piloting these toys in real life. Revolt sessions are a cacophony of whines, buzzes, crashes, multi-car pileups, and once you take back control of the chaos, high-speed racing back to a dizzying techno soundtrack. Revolt does take some inspirations from Mario Kart like many other arcade races, but calling it a clone does do disservice to the game's standout features, such as how it stands out with its focus on remote-controlled car racing. Mario Kart is like a trip to a theme park, one with many exciting rides and attractions, sporting different themes and can appeal to people of many different ages. Revolt is much more hobbyist. It's a local club where different age groups are still welcome, but there is a much more obvious skill difference between the beginners and the experts. It may not seem too appealing for outsiders initially, but those who are well experienced in the hobby live and breathe its rewarding qualities. If you attempt to drive your RC car of choice like the cars in the Mario Kart game, you won't enjoy this game very much, as true to real RC cars, these toys don't play nice. To succeed in tackling corners or navigating hazards, you must really get a feel on steering, otherwise you can spin out or get knocked off course. You'll also need to master when to use the brake button, otherwise you'll crash into either furniture, the wall, or worse, spin out and find yourself facing the other way. I've loved playing Revolt for many years, however, I'm not going to lie and say it's a perfectly balanced game, and I'll give a few examples that I've experienced. There are various items in the game, such as the lightning item, which temporarily lets you zap races at close range. There's no invincibility frames afterwards, so there'll be moments where you'll be zapped by another car, and then immediately get zapped again, and be unable to move for longer than you'd like. You can also be punished very heavily if you fail a turn or hit an obstacle on the track, as it can take a while to get back on the right track, and by the time you've recovered, you may have to kiss first place goodbye. Cars can also spin you out by rubbing against you in different corners, like Chick Hicks does in the movie Cars, which can be quite the bugbear. Revolt is a hectic game, which sometimes is too chaotic or physics-based for its own good. I mean, you manage to get a good lead in front of other cars, but then you get hit by one water balloon, and then... The game is a nightmare half the time, but I personally love it for that. I like that the game has its own learning curve with driving the RC cars, as well as handling yourself in the chaos of a group of other cars, which combined can be a nightmare for those who prefer Mario Kart's way of balancing, but is also very rewarding to master in its own way. Case in point, people in online races are extremely good at the game. I'm a Yorkshire Mario Kart champion, and even I have to admit I was no match for these drivers when I played some online races. Of course, I can always put the work in and get better, but I prefer playing casually instead. Still, if you like a good challenge, online Revolt is definitely worth a go. The physics of Revolt are undeniably fantastic, but unfortunately the game also needs great racetracks as well to complement the great RC handling, as well as sell the feeling that you're a tiny car in the giant, unforgiving human world. In case you haven't been paying attention to the gameplay footage I provided, Revolt's tracks are easily the highlight of the game. The vanilla game has great tracks set in neighbourhoods, toy shops and museums amongst other areas, and in this video I like to highlight some great custom tracks made by people in the community. If you're going to play any custom tracks in Revolt, make it one by user G_J. His tracks are simply incredible, I wouldn't feel out of place in the base game. Hell, I'd argue these tracks surpass the originals in various ways. Home, fairground, hospital and downtown. These are just a few of many amazing custom tracks that really capture the theme of racing toy cars in realistic settings. The modelling and texture work is incredible, and the track layouts are very well balanced I feel, where it's not too difficult but also uniquely challenging for an RC car to navigate, like narrow hospital hallways and tables at a school you need to navigate your way through. This person has recently come out with the Galaxy World series of tracks, which are set in a mad indoor family fun centre and feature fairground ride obstacles, space tunnels and a ball pit leading to balls and slides, which is just awesome. Sign me up! Just be careful though and mind the train that sometimes comes by upstairs.
Oh Jesus Christ!
Other amazing custom tracks I like to highlight is Schools Out 1 by Kiwi for being a fun course set in a high school, RC Stadium 2 by Zark for its fun dirt bike aesthetic and having a fairly simple layout for more concentrated racing, and finally Room 12 by 16 from Motorhand for taking place on a slot car racing course. I'm not ashamed to admit zipping around on this one course has been the most fun I've ever had in a video game, so well done Motorhand, whoever you are. Like any good racing game, Revolt's soundtrack is also a strong aspect of the game. Reviews at the time criticised the use of techno music in the game, and while I may not enjoy every single track, Revolt's good level themes are very bloody good and cement the fact that Revolt's soundtrack is an integral part that the game couldn't do without. Just listen to this bass line. Revolt includes a healthy dose of game modes that differentiate from single races, time trials, practice mode, and the very wacky Clockwork Carnage mode you can unlock by collecting all the stars in stunt mode. Championship also takes you through the base game's tracks to Grand Prix, while for some reason increasing the lap count and repeating courses in some areas. I'm not a big fan of Championship for this reason, but it does redeem itself by having an awesome jingle should you make the top 3. Another brilliant feature about Revolt's tracks is once you've gotten bored of a great track, you can race it again in mirror mode, reverse mode, or even mirror and reverse. You gotta appreciate the variety. It's safe to say Revolt can keep you busy for a very long time, but with its many modes which include the very own challenges to beat and help unlock more goodies. Although nowadays I just blunt force cheat code my way through all the hidden cards and tracks, as I find it a lot of work personally. I've loved playing Revolt for many years, and it's clear many others have as well. The critical reception of this game at the time was mixed, with many critics praising the realistic RC car handling while criticising the game's level creator and soundtrack. Some critics also had gripes how the driving physics worked, and has no option for either full simulation or a simple arcade style, despite the fact that the game literally has 4 driving modes to choose on before you start a race. Despite the mixed reception, the concept of RC car racing mixed with Mario Kart was at the very least successful enough on Acclaim's end, where they felt the necessity to make a sequel of sorts, which carried over ideas from Revolt. The more fantasy-themed RC Revenge and its PS2 port RC Revenge Pro failed to replicate what made Revolt so appealing for fans. This, combined with Acclaim's closure in the noughties, has led to fans supporting the now abandonware game independently by creating new launches and patches to support the game on more modern versions of Windows, as well as, of course, creating custom cars and tracks. Revolt has officially been released quite a few times on smartphones, as well as modern storefronts like Steam and GOG.com. But the best way to play Revolt today is unquestionably RVGL. This is a cross-platform rewrite of Revolt using OpenGL, and is a culmination of all the fans' efforts to keep the game supported after its original release. It runs on not only modern versions of Windows, but also macOS and Linux. The launcher used to run RVGL is fantastic, as not only can you install mods with the click of a button on websites like Revolt World, it also handily informs you of upcoming online races being held by the community. Another lovely aspect of RVGL is that it's completely free to download. The quote-unquote official releases of modern stores by publisher WeGo Interactive have been notorious for naughtily using code made by fans without asking for permission first. By downloading RVGL, you're supporting the fans and their tireless efforts in supporting the sold game. It's safe to say that despite the game's qualities, it never quite caught on in the same way Mario Kart and other racing games did, due to its commitment to realistic physics and more accessible controls for a kart racer, but it nevertheless remains a cult classic that fans are still playing to this day. Ever since I found out about this game while watching videos about old game consoles, I've remained very fond of Revolt and still play it to this day. I get huge enjoyment out of racing through the game's tracks, and I love the extra strategy that comes with driving the RC cars. I could never approach different corners and hazards the same way twice, and it's very satisfying when I manage to pull ahead of the crowd. One of my all-time favourite racing games. I urge to give Revolt a download. It barely costs anything and will keep you entertained for quite some time. If you can stomach the separate RC cars, that is. This game is easily one of racing's coolest toy boxes and an RC car hobbyist's dream game.